Hey, welcome to GK Repair Talk, episode 4. Um, hey, just a reminder, watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music. Yeah, uh, we're gonna talk about what not to do for repair. Some of these things might surprise. We're gonna go all into some of the things you don't want to do when you're doing repairs. So, what do we got, John?
Well, this is specifically what they don't tell you in those repair videos, whether it's
Right.
iFixit or whomever. Just some tips from us that never seem to get mentioned, or they're just glossed over in repair videos. But before we get into our main topic, there is a question that I want to ask our viewers and listeners before they get bored with us and click off of our video and click on to cat videos or whatever. Um, what do you want from us? What kind of content do you want to get from us? We have some ideas of things that we can do that are beyond just doing a podcast. We've thought about doing some short form content, like just quick tips and tricks, and some other longer form content. Repair videos, tool comparison videos, or repair ASMR videos. If you want to see that, and so if there's one thing that I'll ask for anybody watching us on YouTube specifically, if you want us to do something else beyond the podcast, go ahead and put a like down on this video, even if this video sucks. And I guarantee you it does. But go ahead and give us a like anyway. I'll take that as an affirmation that you want us to do something else, right? Uh, and if you don't think that this video sucks, just go ahead and subscribe because that'll tell us that hey, people like the podcast. But yes, if you want us to do something else, something more, repair videos, tool comparison videos, or ASMR, go ahead and throw up a like, and I'll take that as a yes. Go ahead and do that because I know a lot of people are too lazy to give us comments, and that's okay. I'm too lazy to leave comments on most videos that I watch too. So with that, we can get into our main topic, and this first thing that I'm gonna talk about, and I'm gonna steal it from you, Brandon, because I like to trigger people, and this is gonna trigger any technician that ever gets onto this video, and it's that in every single or just about every single repair video that I've seen on YouTube, um, when they go to disconnect like a battery or any kind of like flex connector, they use what's called a black stick or a spudger. And I just so happen to have one here. It's one of these guys. And this is the trigger. So the black stick slash spudger is not the best tool that you can use to disconnect a flex connector. Doesn't matter if it's a battery flex or a screen flex, whatever. The black stick is not the best tool that you can use. In fact, it's not the second best tool that you can use. And I'll tell you why. So when you see them use the black stick to lift up on a flex connector, what they are doing is usually they use some sort of like twisting motion, or maybe it's an up motion, but part of the stick is still pressing down the PCB. So what you have is upward pressure onto the flex connector, pops it up. That's great, and then you have downward pressure onto to the PCB, which is usually fine. 99% of the time, that's fine, unless you don't actually see the PCB below, and you end up putting pressure on something like a resistor, and so that can be more damage. Now, the best tool that you can use is something that Google actually came up with. So if you have worked at a U-Break iFix or a Shurion, and you're familiar with Google's OEM's repair process, they have a tool that looks like an X-Acto blade. Now, an X-Acto blade is not the tool that you want to use to lift up on flex connectors because that's terrible. But if you take the shaft of an X-Acto blade, remove said blade, and then you take a little bit of fishing line, and I'll try to put a picture up on on the YouTube version. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts right now, I'm just going to try to describe using words. You take the fishing line, you take both ends of the fishing line. It's only going to be a couple inches worth of that fishing line. You put it into where that blade was, and now you've created kind of a loop. And you can take that loop and go underneath the corner of a flex connector and pop it up that way. No downward force goes onto the PCB or onto any kind of resistor nearby, which is exactly what you want. And that's the best tool that you can use. The reason for that, why Google probably came up with this, was because on the Pixel 2 XL, as well as a lot of other Pixel phones, the flex connector that connects your screen to the main board, it's recessed. So it sits a little bit below the mid frame. And so when you take like a spudger, you go down there, you can't see that there's other components, other chips and resistors that are really, really close to that flex connector. And so you can actually bump one of those resistors, go through the repair, put the new screen on, connect up the new flex connector, turn the thing on, everything looks great. Then you go to make a phone call and your audio's not working, like your lower speaker stopped working. It's because you bumped one of the resistors. And I've seen this happen personally a few times. I've never done it personally, but I've seen it happen. I've seen the board damage up close, and the resistor itself is so small, it's very hard to see with just looking at it. Oftentimes, we found out about it by taking the thing underneath a microscope, a high-powered microscope, and actually seeing that a resistor had been broken, and that damage had been done a few times, and it was because the technician didn't see that resistor there when they were using the spudger to lift up on the on that flex connector. So, pro tip: the black stick. It's a great tool to use, but it can cause damage, and so you just need to be aware of that. So that's the trigger moment of the day. What do we got next, Brandon?
So when we're removing batteries, what do we want to do? What do we want to do for that?
So when it comes to removing batteries, let's use iPhones for probably the best example. So when you're removing a battery for an iPhone, they have pull tab like adhesive, right? So you take the little tab and you pull on the bottom of it. They tend to break though. And if they do break, now a lot of these videos, usually they cut out. If it breaks, they cut out, and then magically the battery just is removed. And they probably took some sort of plastic or metal tool to go in and pry the thing out, and they probably bent the crap out of that battery. That's not what you want to do in that case. What you can do is take some isopropyl alcohol and squirt it kind of next to the battery and just kind of let gravity do its thing and get underneath the battery. Alcohol is a great way to get rid of adhesive, or at least loosen up that adhesive. So if you take enough alcohol and let it soak into the adhesive, that battery will pop up really, really easy and without you having to bend the crap out of it. And that's the safest way that you can do that. In fact, that is using alcohol is approved by most manufacturers for battery removal.
For less experienced people, that's 99% alcohol.
That's the one. Yeah. If so. Yeah, you just drop in some vodka and have a party with your iPhone. So 99%. 99% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. It's not going to do any damage. It's it evaporates too quickly for it to do actual damage.
Yep.
The only time isopropyl alcohol can be damaging is if you get it actually on the LCD itself. So not on like the glass above an LCD, but on an LCD if it leaks in.
Or if you get it on the cameras or something like that.
Or if you get it onto the bare camera, yeah, it can do some damage that way. But But usually, isopropyl alcohol is perfectly safe to use. It's great to use to get rid of adhesive. It's great to use on the edge of your phones where you're getting old adhesive off before you put new adhesive on to like the frame of your iPhone. Um, it's isopropyl alcohol. It's one of those things that if it's talked about at all in repair videos, it's really glossed over. They'll just be like, "Oh, put some a little bit of isopropyl alcohol." No, you can soak phones almost in isopropyl alcohol, and nothing bad will happen usually. So, and of course, now someone's gonna listen to that and dunk their phone in isopropyl alcohol, and and then blame me for them breaking their already broken phone. Um, isopropyl alcohol. I mean, so I'm gonna jump ahead while we're on the topic of alcohol, Brandon. Samsung back glass. So this is another thing that you want to use isopropyl alcohol on. If you want to get rid of that adhesive, isopropyl alcohol and heat, and you can get that back glass up and off within about 30 seconds. Almost every repair video that I see, it shows the technician taking a heat gun and 16 different guitar picks and slowly working away.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yep,
The guitar picks.
the guitar picks, right? And they slowly work their way, and they have to speed up the video to make it look like it's fast, but they slowly
Yep.
work their way around the back glass, and they're like, okay, after 15 minutes. No, so how Samsung had us do it was we put the device into what's called a hot plate. It's an enclosed heating device that works kind of like an oven, and you basically bake the phone at 80 degrees that's 80 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes. And when it comes out hot, and you take a little bit of alcohol, go around the edge, and then when you stick in your plastic tool, like a plastic card or pry tool, you keep dripping alcohol as you go around. But you can go around really quick, and like I said, within 30 seconds you can get a back glass off. And again, that's an OEM style of repair that I'm talking about. That's not like a magic technician kind of trick. This is the Samsung way of doing things. Now, Samsung also has other tools that you can use, but yeah, isopropyl alcohol and heat. That's what gets that back glass up and off real quick.
Not pressure.
So not pressure. Not using. I saw a lot of people use suction cups. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using a suction cup, even if it's like just getting it up enough to slip, something plastic like a plastic card in there. I still wouldn't recommend it because there's a likelihood that you could break the back glass by doing that. No, just if you can't get and again, you need to use something thin, a thin plastic card, even like a playing card that's plastic you could use. But if you have enough heat with some alcohol on the tip of that card, you should be able to slide it in underneath the back glass without having any upward pressure. So that's that. The next thing that's on the list is specifically for battery replacements and using an amp reader pre and post doing that repair. Brandon, I don't know if you want to talk about that or if you want me to talk about that. Why would we want to do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a number of things you want to check with an amp reader, but we definitely don't want to see something bouncing around with different amounts of pulling different amounts of power with the amp reader. It's one thing we don't want to see when we're checking before or afterwards, indicating some sort of power management problem on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so depending on how charged a battery is, you generally want to see somewhere between 1 and 2 amp draws when you plug in your phone. So what this device is, the amp reader, it's a USB amp reader, and you take your charging cable for your phone, you plug it into the USB end of the amp reader. The other end of the amp reader goes into your charging brick, which goes into the wall. When you plug in your phone to charge it, the amp reader will give you a reading, and if it's a steady reading, um, and you've noticed over time that you just have to charge your battery more frequently, that is a good indication that you need a battery. That your battery is failing, but you're charging, the charging side of the phone is working adequately. If you plug in your device and you see that after like 10 seconds or so, it jumps from like charging at 1.48, and then it goes down to 0.22, back up to 1.22, down to 0.43, up to 2.01. And
Not a
it's bouncing around like that. Now, a bad battery can cause that. However, our experience has been that usually there's something wrong in the phone on the board that's actually causing bad
right.
charging,
Either the
uh,
main board or the sub.
or the sub PBA. Your charging port, could a bad charging port could cause something like that. So you want to check, if you think you got a bad battery. First, you should see what kind of problem that you're having with the battery. If it's something, like I said, that's over time and it just seems like the battery's degrading, check what your amps is before you do the repair, and then again after you do the repair. Because after you do the repair, if you still see that amp reader jumping up and down and up and down and up and down, you didn't fix your problem. So, but if it's nice and steady and it's got 50% charge, and you're seeing that it's pulling 1.44 or 1.43, and it goes up and down maybe just a little tiny bit, but it's fairly stable, then you probably solved your battery issue. And the last thing that I have on here is screen protectors and removing a screen protector before you do your repair. And that doesn't matter if it's a screen replacement or a battery replacement, charge port replacement. There's a couple reasons why you want to remove the screen protector. The first is, I've seen this all the time. A person comes in, they say, I have a broken screen, I need to get a new screen on my phone. You take a look at the phone, you take off the screen protector, and it turns out it's just the screen protector that's cracked. So that's one reason. The other reason is, when you have a screen protector on, it makes your screen a lot more rigid. Now, when it comes to disassembly, especially on something like a Pixel or an iPhone, to get the screen out of the frame, you need it to bend a little bit. And that's okay. Glass can bend a bit, but you need it to bend a little bit so you can get it out. If you're adding rigidity, you can actually cause damage to the screen. And so, especially in the case of, I need to do a battery replacement or I need to do a charge port replacement, and you got yourself a $10 battery that you're going to put in there into your iPhone, for example. You leave the screen protector on, and you break the screen because it was too rigid and it didn't want to flex when it should have coming out of that frame. Now you're looking at replacing the screen in addition to doing the battery as well. So I don't think I've seen any repair video actually talk about anything like that. I've seen plenty of repair videos that they've left screen protectors on, and I'm just like, it's not like it happens all the time, that the screen breaks because you left a screen protector on, but it's happened to me enough, and I've seen it happen to other technicians, where a screen got damaged or something else got damaged, because that screen was just too rigid when they went to take it off and disaster struck. Is there any other tips that you think that you got, Brandon?
Those are some good ones. I don't have anything queued up, but it's definitely, if this is something that's helpful, I mean, I'm sure we can come up with all sorts of things. I think you're right that a lot of these videos don't chime in on a lot of these things specifically. So if there's more stuff that we can, we've got a lot of experience to share. So this is a good one. We'll definitely double down on it in the future.
Hmm. All right. Well, that's all that we got for this episode. Again, watch us on YouTube, or listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Podcasts. And again, if you want us to do something else, if you want to see this content grow, leave a like here. And I say that like I've been an experienced YouTuber, which I am not at all. But I want that affirmation. Tell me that you want to see more. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.